Hello and welcome to the Gooners Podcast, Gooners versus Cancer, PODATHON 2021. We are in hour 17, or because it's transfer season, Mark, we have to call it hour 17 of 24. Looks like we're going to make it. I am full of energy right now. The Red Bull doesn't hurt. This is not a paid promotion, by the way, but yeah, I think we're going to do it. And you know, we've been buoyed by amazing guests in the last 16 hours. We have some killer guests in the next 8 hours, and we start off with our one and only member of from inside the walls of the Arsenal, Arsenal supporter liaison, lifetime Gooner, incredibly wonderful guy, Mark Brindle. Welcome to the Gooners Podcast once again.
Thanks, Mike. That's some build-up, I must say.
I normally go much more overboard. I normally go much more overboard than this. So
it's a great pleasure to be here. You know, it's a fantastic effort you're making, and 24 hours. I can't remember the last time I was up for 24 hours in a row. So
I've been up for 24 hours in a row, dozens and dozens of times in my life, but never constantly talking and pushing buttons and like it. You know, it's like working, yes, but this is pretty taxing. But you know what? It's a labor of love. It's not. Digging ditches is a lot harder than what we're doing.
Yeah, yeah, very true. Yeah. I always describe it. I always describe my role as a busman's holiday, which is I don't know if that's the same expression in America, but it just means that you only become a busman because you love it, and working from Arsenal is a labour of love for me. So, let's set a couple of ground rules on what we're doing here, and then I'll get right into that, because that's a good segue. The fact that it's a labor of love for you to work at Arsenal, and kind of talking about what you may be able to talk about as far as how that nearly came to an end recently. So, what we're doing here in this podathon, if you're just tuning in now, I'm seeing a lot of people who have switched over from the from the last one. I know switching over to new feeds every 8 hours, again, that's light work. I'm not asking too much, but sometimes that's enough to drive people away. But yes, Nick, this is live. This is hour 17. And we've had so many amazing people like Darren, like Mark, like my son Jake, who's 14 feet away from me through a wall, just absolutely paying attention to this and supporting me by staying up and being online. But we're raising money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society through Gooners versus Cancer. We have a number of different efforts that we're doing throughout the summer, ranging from raffles to in-person fundraising, like in Orlando, and what was going to be Las Vegas, which didn't end up happening. But we're doing a lot of different things. This particular thing was an idea that Eoin came up with. I stupidly took the ball and ran with it, and here we are in hour 17, going strong. And I think it's been a smashing success so far, thanks to the generosity of Gooners, which as we know is really what Gooners are all about. Right now, we are at just under $4,600 of a $5,000 goal for this event only. Cool. That doesn't include the Orlando. It doesn't include the early fundraising. Doesn't include the FIFA tournament that we're getting ready to wrap up in the next couple of days. So our overall number is much higher than this, but we are 8 hours away. We got to hit the $5,000 goal. We've hit a bit of a lull, mostly because most of you have already given to the cause, which I truly, truly appreciate. Hopefully, as people wake up, there'll be some new people and we can get over that line there. But we appreciate everybody in the chat. It's just been a really enriching experience, and I'm very excited to talk to you, Mark. You joined us a couple of years ago, I think, on the podcast, and I don't remember if it was the podcast where you didn't have a video connection, or I think the Wi-Fi was bad, but we had we didn't get to talk about this amount of stuff. Yeah,
and the whole world of Arsenal and supporters and fans has changed, but in case you don't know what an SLO does or is, can you tell us a little bit about your position and how you came into the position? Now, the story about how you actually obtained your position is an interesting one. I'm not afraid to have it on the podcast again, because I'm sure a lot of people that are here now weren't there when you called it. So,
Yeah, so I first went to Highbury in 1971 with my grandfather. So I'm coming. Literally, this November will be my 50th year of attending matches.
Were you a fetus at the time? I mean, you can't be 50.
No, I was seven at the time. So yeah, 58 now. So
you're 10 years older than me. You look younger than my son. Who's in the chat?
Yeah. And so my love for the club grew from there. And I started regularly going in about 1978, and then was a season ticket holder from about 1981, 82, somewhere around there. Really, what happened was, obviously as you grow up, you start off maybe in the North Bank, making loads of noise and wanting to get involved in all that. And then I moved to the Clock End, and I was just, I've never been a big singer or anything like that.
You turned on us North Bankers. I mean, what do you sing now at the end of the game when it goes back and forth between the North and the Clock End?
Well, the Clock End was the real end, mate. But we won't go into that. That's a big debate. Yeah, so it just sort of grew from there, and I sort of felt that the atmosphere was diminishing, and that wasn't just at Arsenal; it was in general. So two things I got involved in was the fans forum when it first started. I was like on the original forum, and also formed the Essex Supporters Club, and that's really how I got to work for Arsenal eventually, because a lady that you probably all know or have had some dealings with, Jill Smith. She was actually the first SLO. She sort of almost created the role, and the Premier League picked it up and decided that everyone needed an SLO.
It's a requirement that a team have an SLO, right?
Yeah. So it's a UEFA requirement as well, not just a Premier League. So she basically wrote the role, and I dealt with Jill for years. Jill used to be on the away trains, and she used to have a big bin liner full of ham rolls and another bin liner full of cheese rolls, and that was the catering. There was no other catering on the train, so you all used to queue up, get your ham roll and your cheese roll. Well, exactly, and a bag of crisps, and you were allowed 2 cans of beer. That was the other thing in those days. Per
minute or for the whole ride?
For the whole ride, because they didn't want people to be drunk, which obviously led to great creativity in getting various contrabands onto the train. Again, maybe a story we shouldn't go into. So I knew Jill from that for years, and I used to deal with her through the Supporters Club. And this is in all honesty, and I think anyone who knows me will say this is true. I used to sort of have some banter with her that, I'd love your job, Jill. And I only used to say it because I thought she would never leave Arsenal. Then one day I got an email through the Supporters Club saying Jill's retiring. And I was like, wow. I literally thought they would carry her out, like, in a box. Yeah. And so I got that.
She'd still be alive, but that would be how they got rid of her.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah. So I left it a couple of days, and I wasn't too sure what to do about it, and because I must admit, I had my own business, quite a successful business. It was paying the bills, but I was bored. I was absolutely bored, senseless, and the wife said to me, well, why don't you apply for it? And I was along the lines of, well, they're going to want someone young, got degrees in marketing, and but then I thought, yeah, let's have a go. So I rang up Jill's boss, a lady called Sue Campbell, who again I knew very well. And when I rang, it all went silent on the line when I sort of spoke about what I was wanting to speak about. And I thought, I've really upset her. And Sue's not a lady that you want to upset, to be honest. And then she laughed and she said, no, the reason I'm disappointed in is that you took 2 days to get in touch. So that was a bit of a relief. And then so she said, but, there's no favoritism. It's all going to be above board process. you will be interviewed. But yeah, I advise you to apply for it. So I did. Didn't hear anything for about 3 months after initial phone call, which, you know, left a bad taste in the mouth. I thought, oh, you know, Arsenal. But then I had to ring Sue about the new season starting and some ideas for fan engagement, etc. And so I spoke to her about that. And at the end of the course, I said, Sue, you know, I'm not moaning, but I never heard anything back about the role, and I was just a bit disappointed. And she said, really sorry, Mark. I've literally come back into the office today. I've been off sick for 3 months. And so again, I've gone, oh no. And so it went, yeah, that's it. I thought, oh, I've blown it anyway. And she said, but you will be hearing within the next couple of weeks. So then we went through the interview process, had about 5 interviews. My attitude was that I wouldn't get it. So I don't think I was nervous at all. You know, bearing in mind, I hadn't had an interview in 25 years. You know, I've been running my own business. There was no need for an interview. So the interview techniques of today, well, I still don't know them, but, you know, just, you know, like we are now, had a good chat. That's it. And so got down to the final 3, and it was only then that I sort of thought, oh, you know, I've got a chance. And that was on the Thursday. There was 3 interviews, and I was the last one. Sue saw me out to the lifts.
Was it like Britain's Got Talent? Like, did they like move you across the stage and like?
Yeah, I didn't see the other 2, and Sue's never told me who they were actually, because she reckons that I do know them. But yeah, so I might, because Sue's retired now, so maybe I'll get that information from her, find out.
Sue on the podcast, we'll have a big reveal. We'll do that for her.
Yeah. Actually, that she'd be a good guest. I think she'd be more than willing to come on. So yeah, I'll mention it to her. And she's got some stories to tell you. So yeah, we're by the lifts. Highbury House is renowned for only one of the 2 lifts working at any one time. It's a tradition, really. So it takes quite a long time for the lift to come. So we're standing there, and the doors to where the executive area is open, and out walk Ken Fryer and Frank McClintock. Now, my son is called Frank. My wife thinks it's Frank Sinatra, but Frank McClintock for me. So Sue introduces me to Mr. Fryer and Frank McClintock. Right. Frank's telling me all about his golf swing, and do I play golf, and all this. And I'm thinking, this is just surreal. And then the doors open again, and Liam Brady walks through, and I'm like, 2 heroes. So I'm in the lift going out of Highbury House with Frank McClintock and Liam Brady, and got to the bottom. Sue said goodbye. She said, we'll tell you on Monday. We'll let you know by Monday, because it's been a long process. We don't want to keep you waiting about anymore. And as I got outside, I just thought, well, even if I didn't get the job, I got to meet Frank McClintock and Liam Brady.
I've already won.
Yeah, so I was like, so I'm on the way home, and I'm on a packed commuter train out to the suburbs, out to the wilds of Essex, and my mobile phone rings, and it's an unknown number. So I just thought it was somebody trying to sell me something. So I binned it,
you keep getting in your own way with this.
Yeah. This is it. Yeah. This is me. And then the phone rings again, and it's Sue Campbell mobile, and no word of a lie, I sat there and thought to myself, oh, I've left something at the office. I'm literally patting myself down, thinking, and she's come on the phone, and I said, hi, Sue, and she said, Mark, are you somewhere quiet? And I said, no, not really. I'm on a packed commuter train. And she said, well, are you sitting down? And I said, well, yeah, I am sitting down. And she said, well, and I'm still not like cluing in what she's going on about. I'm thinking, and she said, we've had a chat. We don't want to wait till Monday. We'd just like to let you know you've got the job. And I'm like, on the train. And of course, I've gone all silent, like welling up. And Sue's going, Mark, are you, yeah. And I'm going, Sue, I don't know what to say. I'm like, and all these people are looking at me on the train like, you're a madman. in England, no one talks to each other on trains, or in the south of England anyway. And they're all like, well, what's the matter with him?
Hugging people and like,
yeah, that's it. Is he on drugs or something? And so she said, right, well, ring me back when you get time, but you've got the role. And by the way, do you want to know what the salary is? Because you've never asked. And I was like, well, yeah, quite interested. So she told me, and I said, well, to be honest, Sue, I probably would have done it, for a lot less. But so
again, it was, getting in your own way.
yeah. So yeah, and
Mark Brindle, master negotiator.
Yeah, exactly. And then I thought, so I put the phone down. She said, we'll speak on Monday. We'll organise everything. And you'll get the contract to be sent out to you, blah, blah, blah. And then I thought, I've got to tell the wife. And I thought, I can't tell her, I can't ring her on the train because I will just burst into tears. And so I sent her a text. And it was half term from school at the time. And my youngest boy was about 11. And he was at the skateboard park with his mates. And my wife had gone down to see him. And so Fred, my boy, he's on his skateboard, and his mates turned around to him and said, Fred, is your mum okay? And Fred's like looked over, and Debbie, my wife, is jumping up and down and going mad. And Fred just turned around to his mate and said, yeah, she's always like that. And that was it. And we had quite a party that night, it must be said.
It's a great story, and I love hearing it because it's I mean, just imagining yourself in your position. Now, the last time you told me that story, there are a few things I didn't know about you, and in the meantime, we're in a very difficult financial environment with COVID, and it's been well publicized that Arsenal have had what they call redundancies. People who have unfortunately lost their job while there were no fans in the stadium and that sort of thing. And kind of, to me, out of nowhere, but clearly it wasn't out of nowhere, we began hearing whispers that certain positions or certain individuals in those positions were under threat of becoming redundant. And I hate that word redundant, but and that's what it's called. I mean, it's even worse here. They call it getting laid off. But the thing that struck me was when I heard your name associated with that in the midst of no physical supporters in the stadium, in the midst of Arsenal kind of sliding down the worldwide popularity scale based on performance on the pitch and marketability, when supporters clubs and the worldwide network of fans is so important, knowing through our discussions and familiarity for the charity, knowing how important you are and have been to Arsenal America and to Tiffany and everyone on the team at Arsenal America, it just boggled my mind that they were even considering letting you go. And so, a number of people independently and jointly reached out to the club. I ended up getting to know a gentleman who's been nothing but very nice to me, Amar Hijani, who I understand is moved on himself, but the outcry there, and our messages to each other, I think the club finally listened, but what I did not know about you until I spoke to Tiffany about it after the fact was that you had left a job and a career that, I mean, the supporters liaison is not something it's not podcasting. You don't do it on your free time when you and put very little thought or effort into it. I suppose you could if you sucked at it, but you don't. And, so it was a financial sacrifice and a career path sacrifice. And that's what I didn't even realize when I was outraged about you losing your position, is that you were really bent over backwards. And perhaps had you been made redundant and had to enter the workforce, you could have done so at financial and personal gain, but at a loss of something that's a labor of love for you. So, I mean, it just made it made the fact that that decision was reversed even, more impressive, that your desire was to continue there. But, what can you tell us as an ongoing employee of the club about what that experience was like for you? Because it isn't just about Arsenal; it's about the environment that we live in and how things are not necessarily always as secure as you would like them to be.
Yeah, I think again we've got to look back in time a little bit. Once we dropped out of the Champions League, I think there was an awareness around the club that budgets were going to be tight. And obviously Ivan Gazidis was in charge then. And he said we can quite easily do 2 seasons in the Europa League without any problems, which, is fair enough. I think at the time we all thought 2 seasons would be enough. We've, obviously wrongly thought we would be back in the Champions League pretty soon. But things didn't go to plan. 4 years into the Europa League, there were a lot of people saying, look, we are overstaffed. It was quite obvious that something would have to give. And I think when it came down to it, it was a shock. I think it was a Monday. We got called to a staff call at very short notice. And it was along the lines of, we are going to make redundancies. If you're in line for redundancy, you will receive a call tomorrow morning. And I remember coming out of that and thinking, I've got a feeling I'm under pressure here. Sure enough, 11 o'clock the next day, the team's call.
You weren't on a packed train when they called, were you?
No, not this time. I was sitting in my front room, unfortunately, and straight away I knew, and obviously shocked, deeply shocked, and I was asked at the time, what are your thoughts? And I did say, I said, well, what do you expect me to say? It's like completely out of the blue. And they said, oh, well, it's the corporate speak. We're looking to redevelop the role, and we feel we can share the role out amongst people, blah, blah, blah. And so literally that call lasted 2 minutes because I think it was quite clear that I wasn't overly impressed. They said, right, well, you're going to the what they call the consultation period now. Again, something totally.
You told me about that. And it's a foreign concept, but yeah. Go on.
That's it. Totally new to me, but they talk you through your benefits that you get and your redundancy package, blah blah blah. But it also gives you an opportunity to make a case, I suppose. So I went away and thought about it a little bit.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah, which is quite unlike me thinking about things. So then I started just listing out exactly what I did, because the thing that triggered that was them saying, oh, we're looking to share the role out. So I went, and the list was just, I hate to say it, it's like 4 or 5 pages long. So when we went into the consultation period, they said to me, right, now's your chance to talk about the role and why you think you shouldn't be made redundant. So I just went into about a 45-minute monologue, and I could see their faces, and it was just like, so. And at the end of it, I said,
but they didn't understand the breadth of the things that you did.
No,
that's hard to believe. But.
Yeah. So that's it. So to be fair to them, they went away. They came back to me, and literally the first conversation, I think it was the 4th or maybe even 5th meeting, they said, Mark, we just didn't understand. And that was backed up by you guys and everyone else, which was very humbling. I didn't instigate it at all. I think it's like a lot of
did not like, hey, could you do me a favor? No,
yeah.
not at all.
a lot of things at Arsenal get leaked out, and the redundancies was obviously a big talking point. And I think there's somebody in the club, or maybe they're not in the club anymore, I don't know, but who just didn't agree with things. And so it was Thomas from Arsenal Denmark, who, again, I would strongly suggest you should get on your podcast. He's a great guy. He rang me. And he said, "Mark, what is all this? What is all this rubbish?" In a thick Danish accent, he said to me, and I said, "Well, look, Thomas, I can't say anything because I am in the consultation period. That is the limit of what I can say." And he said, "Right, I'm going to write to the club." He said, "Who should I write to?" And I said, "Look, again, I can't really say anything, but if it was down to me, you've got to go straight to the top." If you feel that strongly about it. He said, "Right, leave it with me." And then that was on a Saturday. Even by the Sunday, there was stuff coming through, I think it made a huge impact. It very, very humbling. So going back to what you said about, still wanting to carry on with the role, I think that inspired me all the more. I see my role is that, I need to work even harder for the fans because of what's going on and what has happened. It's going to be an uphill task. There's lots of things happening that we probably still don't agree with, but that's what I'm there for. I'm there to fight that corner, whilst I can, I will do. And as I say, it was very, very humbling what you guys and everyone else did. To
boil it down to financial and redundancies, you really have, and I'm not going to assign blame or try to to cast aspersions on this. I mean, clearly a mistake was made in not recognizing that your position was not one that was in any way redundant, and not the position, but your application of it. The one thing a club cannot afford to do, especially a club with the Arsenal way, is in a tough time for the club where relationships are at a premium. The face-to-face, person-to-person, visual in-person interaction is literally non-existent as a result of a global pandemic. The last thing you want is to sever ties between people that are the lifeblood of your club, whether it's the local match day going fans, whether it's the people in the away scheme, whether it's the supporters in America and Asia and Africa and South America, elsewhere in Europe, in Denmark, in Serbia. If you were watching the podcast earlier, you'll understand why I said that. It's at that time you need those relationships to be either strong or growing, not just for them to think, it's amazing that they could have not recognized, and I don't want to belabor this point, for them to not recognize how individualized your role is in that. And again, I don't know you through Arsenal America. I met you through Arsenal America, but I don't know you in that capacity. I know you just from your help and your assistance in introducing me to Lynn Cheney and to others in the club, to help the podcast, and more importantly than the podcast, which is a vanity project of mine, the charity, which is a passion project of mine. I've just been able to tell that the relationship, and I know now Tiffany and David and Jeff and Lori and all the people that have relationships with you through the club, and I've seen through them how important that relationship is when the club come to visit the States, or when they almost come to visit the States.
That was so disappointing.
It is a really intense relationship, and having that personal contact rather than like a call center that this is a SLO department, how can we help you, really makes a big difference. So what specifically in your role do you are you and I talked to Amar a little bit about this, but like your role as a supporters liaison is largely with the supporters groups that are including the London group, but the supporters groups that are really all over the world. How involved are you, or are you not, in the day-to-day match going kind of, not ticketing, but supporters experience? Because that's obviously getting ready to change again soon.
Yeah, so I'm heavily involved. We're in a constant state of meetings. I don't know if you know much about how our government has dealt with the COVID crisis, without getting political, but it's been very changeable, and the parameters are changing all the time. So it's been a non-stop roller coaster, really, of what we can do, what we can't do. And I think there's still more to come from that, especially as we get into winter. We are going back to full capacity. We're not doing any checks at the moment, but it looks likely from about October the 1st that you will have to have a COVID passport or proof of double jab, and things like that. So it has been a very drawn out and intensive process over the last 18 months, really. And although I'm involved in it on a daily basis, I take my hat off to people in stadium management and things like that, because the hoops they've had to jump through, it's just madness, absolute madness. And going back to what we were saying earlier, we're a lot less staff now. So people are doubling up and things, so it's been very, very intense. So I'll just be glad to get to Brentford tomorrow night, and actually see some football in a full stadium. I'm really looking forward to it. And, I think that's the positive now we've got to look to. Let's get on the pitch, and hopefully, we can have a good season.
Yeah, and this is nothing to do with you, but I'm hearing from a lot of my mates over there that there's no alcohol involved in the away section at Brentford tomorrow, and that's a big problem for a lot of people. But
yeah. But I think a Friday night game, everyone can have a good drink before they get there. One thing I would say is that it's a new ground, and it's a new ground for Brentford as well. And I think there's potential for chaos. So, because everyone's not going to know where they're going, there's restrictions on where you can go and you can't go, and what train stations you can go back from, and so hopefully people will read stuff. I'll put it out there, and the club are putting it out there on the website. So please, anyone who's listening, who's going, please read the stuff, and take note.
And 60,000 fans in the stadium for Chelsea. That's just going to be. I have no idea what to expect. I mean, God forbid we don't get all 3 points against Brentford, and then we start off the game so we concede the first goal against Chelsea. Like is the team? I know match-going fans don't tend to be the same as social media arsenal, but I mean, is there I hope that the team is buoyed and by the support of the fans. I pray that the match-going fans, don't take out ultimately 2 years of frustration that they're very rationally, entitled to feel on the pitch on the very first day. I mean, this team needs to be reminded of the support of the supporters, not held to task for past or temporary downfalls that's going on. But
I think it's an opportunity for a massive reset as far as the support base is concerned. Let's get rid of all that negativity there was at the end. And now we've been without it for so long. Let's get in there, have a laugh, get behind the team. We might not agree with everything that's gone on over the summer, but it's the 11 players on the pitch are the 11 players on the pitch. We need to support them, I really feel passionately about it that we we can play our part. We might not be the noisiest fans in the world, but we can definitely play a part. And when the Emirates gets rocking, it is a place to be, and it can be very, very loud.
I've been in some pretty good environments in the Emirates. Unfortunately, it's the exception rather than the rule. But the game against Liverpool, the 1-1 where Lacazette scored the tying goal. I've heard that the 4-2 against Spurs was incredible. And it isn't the ground; it's the people in the ground, and we have the control over whether it's a great environment or not. So, I certainly hope that is the case. If you're in the chat, I'd love to get some questions. I mean, most of the people in the chat right now are on your side of the pond, Mark, because of the hour.
Yeah.
But so more than likely to have some match going supporters or local supporters. If you got a question for Mark, please put it in the chat or come on in with GoonerOpenMic.com. So let's talk about Orlando. I have a perspective of Gooner get-togethers, and there's been 3 or 4 times in this marathon that we've kind of come back to the same subject, but I can't say it enough. The reason I go and travel for the Arsenal is 10%. I mean, and maybe I'm a bit jaded and lucky because I've seen the Arsenal so many times in my adult life, both here and abroad. It's 10% to watch the game and 90% to be with the people. It helped that I had media credentials and I was going to, be able to get some behind the scenes access. And, the last time I had that, we ended up in a room interviewing Josh Kroenke, which was unique. But the real goal of that was going to be the parties that happened, the gatherings, the tailgate, the pregame, the postgame. And that's what I really look forward to. And frankly, the fundraising that I was going to be able to do as a result, like we did in 2019. Now, we all saw it coming, but we didn't want to admit that it was going to happen. And on the Tuesday before the Sunday of the first game, the news finally broke through the media, not through the supporters channels, which was an interesting one. Am I allowed to ask you that, like, why did, and I'm not blaming them at all, but why did the Chris Wheatleys and Charles Watts of the world know about this before the team on the ground, the advanced travel team in Orlando that was already there scouting out things like, I guess, hotel and other things? I mean, that's a weird distribution. I didn't plan to ask you that question, but
no, I think it's a very fair question as well. And I think I can answer it by telling you that I learned about it from Tiffany.
That's what I'm saying. Like we were all in a group together saying, I'm like, Tiffany, David Ornstein just tweeted this out. And she's like, I'm not saying it's not true, but I have not heard that. And in fact, I've heard that they don't, that the team on the ground there doesn't know it. And frankly, Mark wasn't aware of it. I understand that it developed very, very quickly. And I believe in the middle of a night, some, things were decided, but the order in which the information was disseminated was a bit strange to me, and it tells me that the club still kind of has an affinity towards distributing information through the traditional print media, and I question the wisdom of that, but I'll leave that there. What was your experience like? Were you going to be in the traveling party that was heading over?
No, it was a very limited party, and also, mainly based around the COVID restrictions. They were keeping it to the bubble of London Colney, the training bubble. So there were a few marketing guys, etc., going. But they'd made it very clear to me at an early stage there was going to be no supporter interaction. So in effect, there was no reason for me to go. Not that I've ever gone on a tour before anyway. The only one I was scheduled to go on was Australia, but unfortunately I was taken really ill just before. So
we're going to get you to New Orleans. God forbid that gets canceled, but if it doesn't, you're coming to New Orleans.
Yeah, that's I've got that in my diary, Gooner Gra. I'm looking forward to that, and I've got to speak to a few people about getting out there for that. So I'm determined to be there for that one.
Your first 94 pints are on me.
But yeah, so it was. I must admit, I thought it was a bit strange that in the first place that in these times that we were going to go to America for such a short period of time as well, but we were almost there, weren't we? It's such short notice. I spoke to somebody the day before that was going, and how excited, and he said, "Oh, I'm just going off for my COVID test," and I didn't think anything of it. Just thought, oh yeah, we're definitely going, and it'd be great for you guys. And I was telling people, to expect a big welcome. You will be really shocked and pleased. And then, as you say, Tiffany, I think it was it might have been a Sunday afternoon or something, and Tiffany sent me a message, and I was like, what's she talking about?
It was Tuesday, I think, that the news.
Oh yes, I know it was
due to travel on the Wednesday or the Thursday. I believe. I think it was the Wednesday. Yeah, because I was going to come down a day early when I found out that the club was actually going to be there on Wednesday. Again, I thought maybe as media I might have a chance to at least be on a Zoom or something. I wanted to get down there, and then that happened, and I know that you've got a hard stop where you've got to leave us coming up, but. I did want to kind of find out a little bit about how that happened behind the scenes, because I was aware that you found out from us finding out from the press.
So what I would say, it was another learning point, and the point has been made that surely not just me. I'm not saying it's me. I'm saying staff should have been informed before the world's press.
I would agree with that. I think that is far too often overlooked. We're going to have a quick changeover because our next guest is here a little bit early, and I want Mark, I wanted you to be able to say hi to my friend Lee.
Hi, Lee.
Hey.
How you doing?
Lee,
I'm all right.
Do you know Mark? Mark Brindle is our supporters liaison officer from within Arsenal.
We have met in the press lounge a few times.
Yeah, I know the face, the beard.
And the hardest working man in non-show business. But we were just talking about the Orlando fiasco with the team almost coming to Orlando. I ended up just going down to Orlando anyway, and this is kind of where I wanted to finish this off, Mark, is by saying that as soon as the club pulled out, I know that probably 50 to 60% of the people who were planning on going down there found a way, if they could, to get refunds on travel. The tickets were refunded, or just changed it into a Disney World type of vacation. Yeah. But there's the hardcore group of people who go to Gooner Gra, who go to all of the cities when they come to the U.S. We went down there anyway because we knew it would be a party. We called it No Parte, We Still Party. I've got videos to show of the time that we had down there. Still raised a great amount of money for Gooners versus Cancer while we were there. And, again, seeing, and I don't mean to pick on anybody, but seeing Eddie Nketiah, score 2 goals against Million RSFC would have been great, but it wasn't the reason I was going down to Orlando. And so we still had fun. And that's what being a supporter of the club is like. That's what you've helped to foster through your help with the supporters clubs in America, in Denmark, as you've said, and in other areas.
But I think that's the thing of it. As you know, I'm long in the tooth from going to Arsenal, but obviously I always used to love the football and watching Lee. Watched all these games and everything. But the thing for me and everyone really was the social side of it. It's a chance to go on a Saturday, 3:00. I know that doesn't often happen now either, but
it will this year.
Yeah, and go and have a few beers and have a laugh. And I think a lot of the time now it's just too serious. Everyone's so serious in the ground, and it's life or death. Everything is life or death, and I just think we've got to get back to having a bit of a laugh, a bit of a crack. So
I mean, look, Arsenal's success. I mean, not during Lee's career, of course, but Arsenal has had some peaks and valleys. Only peaks during our Lee's career, but
we had a few
there were no tough times in the mid '90s. But we're not going to talk about that. You really have. I mean, there are so many people, and this is just a generational thing. It's a social media thing. It is unavoidable, unfortunately. But so many people whose fandom of Arsenal consists specifically of results and solely of results, and it's just unfortunate because you are missing the point if you don't get involved in the fan element of that. So, Mark, have you got a run, or do you have one more minute? Because we want to do.
I wanted to say something about that as well, because back in Lee's day, that we were known as 1-0 to the Arsenal and all that stuff. As an away fan, then we even found that funny, in that we'd go 1-0 up, and it was all over. Thank you, good night, and you could see the home fans getting more and more frustrated, and we just used to think it was hysterical. We could have gone back down the pub. And but it was just fun watching these people going berserk that they knew they weren't going to get anything out of the game. So I think it's all about fun. One fun thing I would say.
And then Mustafi came along. What have you got there?
Yeah, Mike. So this book was produced for the 70-71 double celebrations, the 50th anniversary, and there were 71 of them produced. All right, so it's a very, very limited edition.
I like where this is headed.
Right. Okay. So I've got a spare copy here, and if you want, you can put it up for the highest bidder, and I will post it out once you've got that. As I say, there are only 71 in the world. They've all gone out to the players that were in the squad. It's a fantastic book, and this is one thing we were working on. And what a pleasure this was. All photos from, and so it went out to the squad. If they passed away, which a few unfortunately have, they're next to kin. It went to the referee on the day.
Has Jill Armstrong got one?
Yes, yeah. So they're all there, and it really is. They gave a paperback version at the last program against Brighton. With the program, but this is the hardback version, and you're more than welcome to take it for your charity.
Mark, that is phenomenal, and I mean you continue to just amaze and impress me with your generosity and your help within the club. I will absolutely find a way to maximize the donation that we can get to Gooners.
This is issue 55 of 71. There you go.
Cool. That's fantastic, Mark. Thank you so much for that. Real quick, I want to do a quick prize drawing. This is the 8th to last prize drawing. It is the final Ruth Beck art. Are you guys aware of Ruth Beck?
Yeah.
Ruth Beck makes some incredible artwork, and this one is a real special one with Ian Wright and Dennis Burkamp. And we're giving this away. We've been doing drawings all throughout the 24 hours. And the winner of this drawing, and then we'll let you go, Mark, because I know you've got something you need to move on to. The winner of the final Ruth Beck art drawing is
Lee Dixon.
Let's see. Oh, I got to share the screen here. Hold on a second.
I'm glad you're doing all this technical stuff.
I've been up for like 94 straight hours, and I'm pushing buttons here. But the winner is Steve Manius. Now, you weren't around earlier in the podcast, but Steve, who made a very, very generous.
I know that name.
Yeah, you know Steve, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Steve made a very generous donation. Therefore, he's got a very heavy. He does not weigh 400 anything, but he has 400 tickets. We made a rule that the most things you could win were 5, and that, or 3 things that you could win, and that we would not have your third one be something you've already won. So we're actually going to pick another winner so that Steve can remain in the drawings for some of the incredible prizes we have coming up. So I am actually going to redraw here.
Just give it to Lee.
I think I've got that picture, I think, somewhere.
Matt Judge. All right, Matt's in a WhatsApp group with me. Matt is a phenomenal guy, and apparently he weighs 2% what Steve Manos weighs if you go by this weight thing. But Matt, you've won the Ian Wright Dennis Bergkamp picture, and I'm thrilled. I'll tell you you've won as soon as this is over. If you're not watching already. So yes, thank you, Matt. And thank you, Mark, again for your support, not just of the charity, but of Arsenal supporters worldwide. I don't know what Tiffany and Lori and Jeff would do without you. I don't know what we would do without you. And I'm glad that we didn't have to face that reality. I hope that they have to. This is going to sound weird to Lee unless he was watching, but I hope they carry you out in a box. Like you said that they were going to carry.
Well, the weight I put on in lockdown, that might be the case. But
it might be a piano box, but
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, Mark. Cheers. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy the game tomorrow night, lads, and
Mark.
see you soon. Yeah, see you soon, Lee. Cheers.